Both Chronojet and Messiah got some major support in Generation Dragenesis, but are they enough to put these two decks back in contention for this upcoming meta? Let's go over the new cards and I'll give you my thoughts as well as a sample decklist for each. Without further ado, let's get started. Starting with the new cards that Chronojet got, we have Glimmer Breath Dragon. Auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Chronojet Dragon crest, cost CB1 and draw a card. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power plus 5k until end of turn. Auto on rearguard circle, Generation Break 3, when this unit attacks, this unit gets power plus 10k until end of that battle. I think at first glance, this is just a worse version of Ford and Revertis. They both try to generate card advantage, but for Glimmer Breath, you must CB for it. Whereas the Soul Charge on Revertis can play a role in getting extra cards drawn off of GG later on. The CB1 to call one from Soul can also turn into more card draw, if we have found Failure earlier or we have put it into Soul with its own effect. They're both 15k attackers, but Revertis gets it as early as grade 2, and this is a huge difference. In a format where turn 2 is incredibly important, forcing more shield value out of our opponent early on plays a significant role. And with the return of Stride decks, staying on grade 2 may be a relevant strategy. And therefore, you will want cards that can still generate more value without riding into grade 3. The only upside of Glimmer Breath is that it is a much better attacker later in the game. And we can speed up the process by a turn using footprints marking passage of time, which also enables upstream Dragon. I think right now I would still prefer to run Revertis, but I can definitely see an argument of trying to go all in on turn 3 with Glimmer Breath. Let's go over the new stride, Interdimensional Dragon, Chronoscommand Dragon. Act on Vanguard Circle once per turn, Generation Break 3, cost CB1, your opponent puts all of their rearguards on the bottom of the deck in any order. You choose one of your rearguards and it gets auto on rearguard circle. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, put this unit on the bottom of the deck. Search your deck for up to one unit card with grade +1 from this card, call to rearguard circle and it gets power plus 5k until end of turn for each face-up Interdimensional Dragon, Chronoscommand Dragon in your G zone. Shuffle the deck until end of turn. This is an incredible board wipe. With so many decks being able to utilize their drop zone, sending units back to the bottom of the deck is way better. It decreases their chances of checking triggers once they shuffle. If it's upstream Dragon that gets this ability from Chronoscommand, we'll be able to call both a grade 3 and a grade 1, since both abilities will go on standby. To explain this a little further, if we pay the cost of upstream's ability, we can call grade 1 from the deck. Following this, the skill given to upstream is still on standby even if the unit is no longer on the field. And since the ability given to upstream is not a cost, we will then be able to call a grade 3. This opens up a lot of possibilities. In addition to the grade 1 that we will normally call that generates us more advantage such as GG and Failure, the grade 3 called can be a huge attacker such as Nocturzio or Baoli. The only problem is that this is a GB3 effect, meaning that Chronoscommand will only be in play from the second time we stride and onwards. But this is not a finisher. We're board wiping and trying to generate more value in addition to having a beefier fourth swing. Then wouldn't it make more sense to go into next stage and go for the win? In my opinion, next stage is a better option if we're trying to win the game on the spot. Chronojet's ability to lock our opponent from using a PG is still incredibly threatening. With that in mind, Chronoscommand is an option to go into if we want to accumulate more value or when we can't find a Chronojet. The way we play Chronojet is similar to before. We try to build up value with upstream and time leap into grade 1s depending on what we need at the moment. And once we've dried up our opponent's resources, then we can go in for the win with next stage. And here's a simple deck list. Now moving on to Messiah. The first supporting card is Lady Battler of the Black Dwarf. Auto on Rearguard Circle, Generation Break 1, when this unit attacks, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Messiah in its card name, choose one of your other rearguards. It gets power plus 5k until end of turn, and at the end of that battle, lock this unit. Auto from Drop, Generation Break 3, when your G unit with only Link Joker for its clan is placed on Vanguard Circle, cost CB1 and call this card to Rearguard Circle. This is a very good card for Messiah. If you recall, the secondary attacker before for the deck was Kalizar Klein, and that card was mid at best. It only looks at top 3, meaning the chances of seeing one of your other decent attackers was pretty low. If you see a lot of triggers, then they'll be stuck on the bottom since the deck did not shuffle at all. With Lady Battler also being able to lock itself after battle, we can easily attack up to 5 times the first time we stride. I also like that it provides 5k for another unit, allowing our grade 1s to still be able to hit if we can't find our other premium attackers. Do remember that this effect will trigger again when the unit unlocks and swings again. I think the one downside of this card is that it only swings for 10k. Unlike Arrestor Messiah or Kalizar Klein, it doesn't get an extra 5k. This could be a little problematic when going second, since you'll probably need a booster behind her before our crest starts scaling. And being able to call itself out for a counterblast is a nice bonus. We don't have to worry about our CB usage as much since we have Sacrifice Messiah that can potentially CC twice in the same turn. The new stride Genesis Dragon Transcends Messiah is also a great addition for the deck. Auto on Vanguard Circle, Generation Break 3, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, cost CB1, unlock all of your lock cards, choose up to the same number of your opponent's rearguards as the number of face-up cards in your G zone, and lock them. Choose the same number of your rearguards as the number of face-up Genesis Dragon Transcends Messiah in your G zone, and they get power plus 5k until end of turn. Let's compare Transcends to X-Lex Messiah. One of these is GB2 and the other is GB3, meaning that we can't go into either of these as our first stride. Downside of Exilix, even though it gives our entire front row more power and it has a crit, this card doesn't lock our opponent's rearguards, whereas Transels can lock at least 2. With all the top decks right now having problematic rearguards, we do want more ways to get rid of them, especially in this deck when we can bind them and not see them for the rest of the game. More often than not, our Vanguard swing will be met with a PG, meaning that the crit doesn't really make a difference. That's why I think, even in the later stages of the game, striding into either Transels or MNSC is more efficient. The other disadvantage about Exilix is that it requires ditching Alter Ego Messiah to be able to stride into it. That means running more dead cards in our deck. Other than Destiny Dealer, we don't have a way of adding it to hand. And with so many better cards to stride with, such as Marstoge to draw us back a card, and Prelude Dragenesis to reduce Counterblast, running this just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The way we play the deck remains unchanged. We attack with our rearguards that can lock themselves first before our Vanguard swing, and using our strides effect to unlock those rearguards to swing again. And while doing so, we try to accumulate card advantage by drawing cards equal to the number of units we unlocked on the opponent's side with the Access Soul built up from Mikani, as well as a new front trigger that goes into Soul after we guard with it. And here's a simple deck list. Because we're allowed to run 16 cards in our G zone, there's no reason not to max out on all of our G units. And with these new strides getting more power from having how many of itself is flipped up, we should flip these when we go into our first stride. I think even with the new support, the stride decks will still suffer in this meta. To be able to stride, the opponent's Vanguard must be on grade 3, or you have to have been on grade 3 yourself for a turn. The problem is so many decks are comfortable staying on grade 2 because of the amount of early aggression they have that can still continuously generate value. Not to mention all the defensive options against stride decks that were added last set. With that said, if you manage to survive the earlier turns, your late game is extremely good thanks to the auto-scaling of the crest. And with cards like the Stride Fathers that turn into card draw when we stride, we should be able to win from the sheer card advantage. What do you guys think of the support that both stride decks got? Do you think they will stand a chance in the meta? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you all next time.